kind of evolved with my natural life, if that makes sense. Nowadays, people kind of maybe say, hey, this is something I want to do as a side hustle, like start a brand, you know, but it should, your influencer account should reflect, you know, who you are organically. So these are the things that were happening in my life. Was I was developing the blog. So I was going out to restaurants, taking great photos. I wanted to post that on my Instagram. I was going to events with Ian. So I was able to kind of go to, you know, say a restaurant before it opened. That's something that's exciting that people really want to check out. So it's kind of my lifestyle built into my personal brand. And that's kind of where I'm at today.
So what's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video. Like I said, we are going to be joined by Briana Louise from In Between Rivers. And she's going to be sharing with us how to become an influencer, how to build up your own personal brand, and what it's like when you're working with other companies. So what's going on, Briana? How you feeling?
Hey, feeling good. Thanks for having me on. Excited to chat about this.
Ooh, I'm excited to chat about it too. So this is interesting for me because, you know, we've done a little bit of work together in the past. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that was really interesting when I first met you, I think one of the first events that we went to was, I forget, it was like for the Continental, right. Mm-hmm. And then you had put on a show over at, where was the show at? The Strata. That's right. And it was there at that show that I was looking at all of your branding per se. Like you had the magnets, you had like the stickers, you know. I was like thoroughly impressed. I was like, damn, yo, you really doing the thing out here. You know what I'm saying? So before I get too ahead of myself, why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself and your company, you know, when you got started and, you know, what it is that you do.
Yeah, so I'm a professional photographer, and I started my business, like I left my full-time job about 2 years ago. So just celebrated 2 years in business with IBR. Wow, and that's turned into a social media marketing agency. And what I first started talking about online was food and restaurants. I love taking photos of food and brands. So I wanted a place to kind of put these photos, and it ended up being a blog. So I started the blog while I was still working 9 to 5, and that's what In Between Rivers was. And as I started learning more and more about these restaurants and their needs, when I would go in and take pictures for my blog, they wanted to utilize them on their social media as well. So that's when the idea came, like, can IBR be this tandem, you know, content creation, social media management agency for restaurants? And that's where I am today. I'm working with 4 restaurants now in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And I also just do, you know, contract photography content for local brands as well. And I am an influencer, so a micro influencer. And something I've been able to do, you know, throughout quarantine is really refine my personal brand and leverage my personal brand to get business for IBR. So, yeah.
All right, that's what's up. Now that's kind of what I want to talk to you about, because that's like something, I guess, that like fascinates me and puzzles me. So I kind of got a couple of questions, because like I'm a little bit more on the shyer side of things, I guess, as far as the social media is concerned. But I'm gonna try to stick to my notes here, and you know, and go from there. So you had mentioned about during this time in quarantine, because right now it is the whole, you know, the cough, the COVID, everything is going around. So business looks a little bit different these days. But you did say that you were a micro influencer. So what made you want to become an influencer? And, you know, what are some of the benefits that, you know, are included or that come along with being an influencer?
So I've been on.
But actually, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. So real quick, just kind of like explain what an influencer is. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that I know, but like what it is, and then, you know, how'd you become it and why, and then what's some of the benefits around that?
Yeah. So the way I actually really like to describe the term influencer, even to my clients, is you want to think of them as like your super customers. So those people who are already like talking about you and spreading brand awareness by word of mouth, but also ones that are, you know, translating that online. So for me, I grew up with Instagram, have always had a personal Instagram account. And it wasn't until maybe like 5 years ago, I started working with Ian Crum, who was a local influencer in Philly, um, producing content for him. And he started inviting me to events. So when I started to learn more about PR and going to events, that kind of put that together for me. I'm in these, you know, once in a lifetime opportunities, and people are going to want to see me kind of share this content. So it kind of evolved with my natural life, if that makes sense. Nowadays, people kind of maybe say, hey, this is something I want to do as a side hustle, like start a brand, you know, but it should, your influencer account should reflect, you know, who you are organically. So these are the things that were happening in my life. Was I was developing the blog. So I was going out to restaurants, taking great photos. I wanted to post that on my Instagram. I was going to events with Ian. So I was able to kind of go to, you know, say a restaurant before it opened. That's something that's exciting that people really want to check out. So it's kind of my lifestyle built into my personal brand. And that's kind of where I'm at today. So when I look at my Instagram page, and I would maybe talk about, say, what my categories are as an influencer, I talk about home stuff. People love things in my apartment and the IBR studio. That's where I work from. And then I recently got married this year, so I did a lot of coverage on things for our registry. Thank you. And I got great engagement on posts like that, talking about, you know, the wedding and the bridal shower and this coronavirus experience. So, you know, that is just content that is natural part of my life. I'm going through this process with getting married, and I was able to in partnerships with that. So David's Bridal, they sponsored my bridal shower. They sent me a bunch of decor, some items to wear. They also sent me my wedding dress for our elopement that we had in June as well. So, you know, being an influencer, it's who you are, and then how you can like separate those things in your lifestyle that are really important to you and people want to hear your opinion about. So it's not too long. That was a long answer.
No, I mean, it was a good answer, because it kind of makes me, you know, so basically you're just kind of saying that it's an extension of who you are organically. So with that, I kind of have a question. So you didn't really set out to be an influencer. You just kind of seen things coming together organically, and you were like, you kind of were just put into the position, or did you kind of like say you noticed what was happening and you kind of consciously said, okay, maybe I could build on this? Or
well, I was working with Ian, who was an influencer, and I was taking pictures of him. So I was much more comfortable being on the other side of the camera, behind the scenes. You know, we would travel together. I would capture content of him. So it did take me a while to kind of look at myself and say, okay, you're an influencer too. It is, you kind of are giving yourself and appointing it, you know, a self title. It's a mindset, I think, as well. So, you know, there's a certain amount of followers and likes, but it's also shifting your mindset and things like that. So once I started kind of embracing the influencer title and, you know, sharing more and more of my opinions and getting invited to more events, and that's how my following, and, you know, a lot of it is also friends and family and my personal network, and now my business network. So, yeah.
I mean, that's interesting. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, I guess that's just kind of interesting to hear because whenever I see influencers, I don't know if, you know, like you said, if it just happened organically or if people are setting out to be influencers because of like some of the benefits that you mentioned about how, you know, David's Bridal had sponsored, excuse me, some of your events and they had sent you, you know, samples and everything else. So, you know, I always kind of wonder about that. Like when people are influencers, is it because that's genuinely who they are? Or, I mean, everybody kind of has their own selfish reasons on why they do things. But like
Yeah.
you said earlier, you were like, you know, people might look at it as a way to start a side hustle, but
Mhm.
then maybe it's not as organic as, you know, how you're saying that yours came about. You know, you kind of noticed that, you know, I got something going on here, as opposed to like, you know, going out and doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's like the timing as well. Like, I don't think influencers were really a huge thing like 6 years ago, and it really started
Right.
to pick up. And I was kind of just placed at the right time.
Okay.
But I do think, like, I've noticed people who they wouldn't call themselves influencers. They're just an everyday person, but they get great engagement on their posts. They have a lot of followers, and they might not market themselves that way. Um, so it it was the thing with David's Bridal. It wasn't like, oh, they just reached out to me and offered to send me something. I contacted them and
Right.
was like,
You
pitched
pitched
myself.
them. Right.
Yeah. So there definitely is a difference from starting an account, doing your thing, and having people just reach out to you, and then transitioning your mindset to, this is a business. I want to negotiate, you know, trade for products, experiences, etc.
Okay. All right. Well, I can dig that. For real. So now you've been around all of this for a while then. And I feel like you're really great at marketing yourself, especially, you know, like the way you present everything. Like I was going back to that show and how you had, you know, the stickers and the magnets and everything else. And so as an influencer, do you kind of have to create a brand story around yourself, or is it like you said, is it something that just kind of naturally happens and then you say, okay, these are my things that I do? Or do you kind of, you know, specifically target certain things, topics, I
so
guess I can say.
so for me, like I said, with quarantine, I was able to kind of take a step back. I wanted to like look at my highlights on Instagram, which I think are, like, as an influencer, those are your categories that you're really touching on.
Right.
Um, and when you're talking about branding, I also have my business. So IBR, I have a logo for that.
Mhm.
Um, and I really made the conscious decision during quarantine about, what am I going to post on Briana Louise and what am I going to post on IBR, and differentiating that content. So,
Okay.
like, when I'm doing partnerships or restaurant reviews, now I'm really just sharing that content on Briana Louise to help drive my personal brand.
Right.
And then they'll see what I can do and check out my business and say, oh, these are her clients. These are, her professional photos. Um,
Right.
so I have my lifestyle brand and certain things I cover there, post on my stories there. And then I have IBR, and the things I post to my stories there are like behind the scenes of photo shoots and my editing process.
Right.
And um, I will post to Briana Louise and tag IBR and then reshare it. But I was getting frustrated because I didn't want somebody to be following Briana Louise and IBR and seeing the same over and over again. Like, that's stupid. Like, to be just resharing the same thing from Briana Louise to IBR. So I had to make that decision. Like, what content am I going to put here and here? And what kind of voice am I going to have? So I recently, like, invested in a personal photo shoot with one of my friends, Rachel Rashani, and she came over and we did a couple of outfit changes and just captured some content of me in the studio, because this is where I live and work every day now. And that's some of the content that you'll see on my Instagram. So anyway, back to the categories. Like when I was looking at my highlights, it came down to, food and restaurants, wedding stuff, my cat, Nigel the cat, my home apartment. And I also am an influencer for Ethos Cannabis Dispensary. Right. So I also promote and just talk about medical marijuana access in Pennsylvania, and specifically like their products and them as a retailer. So that's what I focus on, is like medical marijuana, food and restaurants, my bridal stuff, the cat, and my business.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because so you kind of answered like the question, because I was going to say like, what's kind of that difference, like that distinction that you make between like creating content for yourself and then creating content for your company? Because I'm only asking because I'm assuming that in some degree, like you're marketing yourself as an influencer, but then you're also marketing your company and trying to leverage that attention to bring business in the door.
Yes.
So let me ask you this, because I myself find it a little bit, I never really had success on pulling business off of Instagram, like if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I'm not marketing myself as hard, or I'm not as out there, as maybe I could or should be. But how do you find that? Like, what is that kind of process like? Like, have you landed those clients? Have you landed business off of like Instagram, like by being an influencer? Or
so for me, it's not necessarily like a direct message, like, "Hey, I want to hire you," but it's more about building awareness for how I can help their brands. So like,
so is it like a reference? Like you can kind of, if you're pitching to a particular business, you can kind of show them
and see, oh wow, like look at all these posts. She did sponsored content with Insomnia Cookies. She just covered this brand new pop shop that opened. And so also it's a lead for me. Doing the influencer coverage is a lead for me to that restaurant as a client. So say they message me on Instagram as an influencer. Like recently I did this for the bot shop Poke Ono in Conshohocken. They were like, "Hey, can you come do some Instagram coverage for us?" And I said, I would love to. I went in, did the experience, blah, 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 blah. And I looked at their accounts. They don't post very often. And the girl and I, business owner, is really nice, going back and forth. She loved what I shared. And I sent her a message and I said, thanks so much for the opportunity. If you ever need help with your social media management, like that's something that I offer. And, I would love to talk to you more about it. So after, sacrificing that time, going there, taking the pictures, making the posts, for me, I don't necessarily have to get paid to make posts, because I'm utilizing these connections and experiences to hopefully lead to business. And I think that any influencer could do that, depending on what they offer, if they have a business, and if that makes sense.
So is that common then? That like, if somebody is reaching out to you as an influencer, and they might be reaching out to, let's say, a handful of influencers like in the Philadelphia region, right? Is it common that those influencers also do social media management, or
some of them do? Not that they really promote it, but I think that influencers get approached a lot, actually. And my friends who are like a really big foodie accounts, they tell me, like, Bree, people ask me all the time, "Can you do my Instagram for me?"
Right.
It's because they have a lot of followers. Their pictures are great. So they think they know what they're doing, and they want them to do
that for them.
done for their accounts, but it's
Right.
not the same thing as a business. So
Okay.
I
That's a good point, because
there's a
I want to ask that, because yeah, it's because I feel like it's just my personal opinion, but I feel like it's easier to get success uh as a person as opposed to a business. It's just my personal opinion. Like, so you've worked with businesses, you do currently work with businesses. Like, what's some of the challenges that you see, and the difference between being, having between your own personal brand, because it's a little bit different, because like the people, they actually know you. They're like, oh, I know Briana, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
as opposed to like a business, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, which sometimes doesn't always have a face on it, because sometimes like the business owner kind of wants to be like, they don't want to be the face of it per se sometimes. So like,
Yeah.
what's
And
some of those challenges like between the personal and the business?
so um, for me, when I'm working with the restaurant, I like to not just talk about the food, but I talk about the process, the
Right.
people, and the neighborhood that it's in. So, like being able to really connect with the community. And then from a personal perspective, like as an influencer, I'm talking just much more about personal stuff.
Right.
So,
So
um,
how do you make that connection? Like, how do you kind of, facilitate that connection for the businesses? You're saying by including the people, the process in the communities?
yes, that's what I like to incorporate into my social media strategy for the business is
It,
highlighting those things. So it's
it,
not just the food, also highlighting reviews. Um, so yeah, running a business account and running a personal account are very different. You also have to, respond to customer inquiries and just being able to also come up with creative promotions for them and help facilitate any events that they have on site. I always try to facilitate that because we want to create a Facebook event to get it in front of people. We want to post it on Instagram, and then I want to cover the event when they have it as well, and get that up online. So from a business perspective, it's the strategy and the process is totally different than the personal one. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I have a couple of posts that I need to get up, and I have content I need to create. I picked something up yesterday for collaboration, and I am working with Dansko as well, which is one of my old employers. They sent me a bunch of shoes for their fall collection, so I'm excited to create some content around that. But this is the first time I'm really like I said, I am really pitching myself in the last year, and it's definitely made a really big difference.
Right. When you say, just to be clear, so when you say pitching yourself, you mean like pitching your personal brand as
Yeah.
opposed to just pitching your business services.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What you're saying is help. It gives you a little bit of you're leveraging that, and that's
Yeah,
helping you.
because like if a potential client stumbles across my Instagram page and they see I'm doing posts and getting sent product from big brands, it makes me look good. It's PR basically. Like my influencer profile is just digital PR for my business.
Right. Yeah. Well, that makes sense, because you gotta be out there. People gotta know what you do.
It takes a lot
It
after
does take a lot, I would
you know
assume, you
managing
know.
other people's accounts and then having to talk about yourself. It's hard, but
Yeah.
I think I finally on both my pages I have a really good presence and I have a good flow. So you let me know what you think of my flow.
I'm telling you, I mean, I like it, that's
Good.
me. I'm impressed with it. Because I do give you credit, because like you're definitely like out there, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um,
It has been harder for me,
it,
like during quarantine, to do more of those like selfie recording videos.
mhm.
I'm posting to my feed, but it's like kind of hard to get on the camera and be like, "Hey guys." Um,
Yeah. So
And
like that's kind of like my question. So like my next one actually is like, so in the game of social media management, which I guess maybe I'm not out there as much because for me it's pretty tough. It's just a difficult thing for me personally. But in social media management, like now in the COVID era, because of the time that we're talking about this, you know, how has business changed?
so, um, like for IBR, my social media management, um, I
Yeah, I guess
primarily,
I guess for IBR and just kind of the game, the arena of social media management, like, you know.
okay, yeah. So in the beginning, some people kind of really just wanted to pause. Um, and, that makes sense because there was a lot of uncertainty. So, um, with any business, it's just obviously like being flexible, um, you know, hearing your client what their needs are at that time and being available for them like when they're ready again. So it was a little tough. Some of the restaurants, had to pause their services, but as the climate continued to develop and there were ever changing updates with what's allowed, indoor dining, outdoor dining,
Right.
takeout, delivery, social media became so important to them. And
Hmm.
that's where I
That's
started
interesting.
to feel, passion, even more passionate about helping the restaurants right now because they really need it.
Right. Because they
So,
got to get that information out there.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
I'm
kind of
working
interesting.
I'm working twice as hard for not as much money, but
Right.
it is rewarding, and I love my clients and they appreciate everything that I do. And I think at the end of the day, that's why I really enjoy being a business owner. Um, and now I can say I'm managing 4 restaurant accounts and I've helped them all through COVID.
Right.
Um, so, as I'm marketing myself to bring on new clients, I can say, hey, I've really been able to help these people thrive during this time. It also means investing in ads. So with the restaurants,
For yourself personally or for the
for
restaurants?
the
For your
restaurants,
clients,
yeah.
I mean.
So that has been kind of something that is key that we've had to do, um, because there's a lot of competition out there ordering food. There's third-party services. So like with my client in Haddonfield, when they did finally reopen and we had all this new messaging, they created family meals and you know what I mean? Like they were offering their sangria for delivery and they'd never done delivery. Um, we invested in a Facebook ad as well to kind of just get the word out there that they were reopened again. And it was extremely successful. And we made sure that it was direct to the restaurant. So that way they didn't have to incur any fees. So whenever you're ordering for a restaurant, order directly through the restaurant because
Right.
Grubhub, DoorDash,
As
Uber
opposed
Eats,
to like
all that really
DoorDash
hurt
or Grubhub.
them. Yeah.
Which is
So
basically kind of like just advertising for them because if somebody goes on the app, they can see that they're available there, but it does come at a price for that,
yeah.
right?
So it's good brand awareness. And a lot of those apps actually offer marketing tools for the restaurant too. They can pay like a little bit more money. And I know they'll be featured in like email newsletters and things like that on behalf of Grubhub.
Right.
But for the bistro, we just did an ad for them to call the restaurant to place an order, and it was very successful. So that's something else that we've just had to invest in during COVID is ads to get those orders. And yeah, we've been posting now more than ever because there's just so much messaging and changing in the market. And curious to see what the winter brings. Can't
Yeah.
eat outside really now. So
Yeah, it's crazy. It's going to be interesting because I mean the landscape has definitely changed with all of this and the restrictions and the limitations. And but it's kind of almost interesting how you were saying how now they've been, trying to get the message out there more than ever. You know what I mean? Because the tough part about being in, the advertising, space is that usually that's kind of like the first thing on companies' budgets to get cut when it's time to tighten the belt. You know what I'm saying? But also, like you said, at the same time, right now, it's essential because people, if they don't know, then they don't know, and things are ever changing. Can you come in? Can you not? Now we offer delivery. How do you get it? Like all those type of things.
Yeah.
So, right now with, the landscape kind of how it is, how does one, if they're in the social media management space, how does somebody, what would your recommendations be on getting new business and landing new clients? Because I would think that it's kind of tough right now, but I'm not in the social media management space. But so like, how would somebody like, you're going to a new client right now? It might be a little bit different because you kind of got, you got some other clients that you're working with. You kind of leverage your portfolio or your book of business right now. But like, how does one, you think, in your opinion, right now, kind of go about getting new business?
So, if you're a social media manager, I'm sure that you have a social media profile for yourself or for your business. The biggest thing that I've learned is, honestly, the most important thing is to be engaging on Instagram from your brand's perspective. So I am now focusing on following restaurants that are potential clients, liking their pictures, commenting on them, and trying to see if they need my services. So think about who your customer is and search those hashtags, geotags, and just engage with potential customers on social media. It's the same thing from an influencer perspective. If you're trying to collaborate with a brand, just start by engaging with the brand and hope that it translates into business. But a lot of my business is also from referrals. So, my biggest thing is if you're getting paid to do something, just do it and you will be successful. A lot of small business owners break promises. They don't do what they say they're going to do. So I just try to do my best. I get referrals and have been also leveraging my personal brand to get business for IBR. I've had somebody reach out to me on Instagram and was like, hey, I just started my business, but I would love to hire you when the time is right. And I spent some time going back and forth with her. I gave her some tips on her page. I was like, I don't really understand how to order. Like, you should make sure that's clear in your bio and update this link. And, so also I love you want to look like the thought leader. You want to give free advice. I mean, just little breadcrumbs, you don't want to sell the whole loaf of bread, but just give them some crumbs. And that woman was so grateful. And she was like, I want to send you some bread. And now hopefully she wants to work with me when she has the money and the time is right.
Right. I got you. I could dig it. That makes sense. It's just interesting times, man. Interesting times. But, I think that's really interesting about what you say about whatever you're doing, you're getting paid for it. Just do it, and do it well, right? Be consistent. Do what you say you're going to do. Because I noticed that will just separate you from most people. Because like you said, most people do break their promises and they don't deliver on what they say they're going to deliver on, or maybe they do, but at the same time, they don't always give a great customer experience, right?
Yeah.
So, I feel like almost kind of sometimes even to just stand out, you don't really have to do much other than just be consistent and deliver on what you say you're going to deliver on,
It's all about managing the client's expectations. So, I've learned, like, don't try and rush something. If you think you could get it done by Monday, say it'll be done Wednesday. And if you deliver it early, it's a great surprise,
Right. Nah, that's absolutely true. Because when you're first starting, you're a little anxious, but then some,
Yeah.
that's kind of like one of the tricks of the trade, though. You learn as you go along,
That's just
right?
a little tip for it. Yeah.
After you put yourself in enough jams.
Yeah.
Um, so where do you think, where do you see the market kind of going right now? You said that, we got the winter time coming up as opposed to when this is being recorded. So you're going to have those limitations. Um, we know this isn't going to last forever. So where do you see the market going? How does one in your position, as a social media manager, um, how do you maneuver through all of this?
So if we have to deal with another shutdown, at least we kind of have a plan for that. All the restaurants know, whatever that is, the takeout spiel is, and things like that, investing in ads again. So, I feel like if we do get hit with another shutdown, I can be there for the restaurants to help them in that way. But it is a lot of uncertainty. Um, but everybody's getting really creative, and I think that is one of the beautiful things about American culture here is these troubling times are inspiring a lot of entrepreneurship. So what I'm seeing with the restaurants when it comes to the cold weather is they are literally building like outdoor greenhouses and igloos and heated, um, you know, completely heated pop-up extensions of their restaurant for people to be able to dine outside. So it's a lot of adapting, investing in the changes, and you know, unfortunately, some restaurants, if they can't afford to adapt and they can't afford, to continue operating in that way, it's just not going to happen. But
Right.
I know that a few of my clients were very successful operating solely on delivery, so I think they could do it again. Just hope we don't have to.
Yeah. Let me ask
As
you.
far as like, I'm sorry, influencer experiences, like when we were in quarantine, um, I actually had a bunch of influencer experiences sent to me in my apartment. So was still able to engage with the restaurants. Restaurants were sending out, free meals for people to cover it on social media and let the community know we're still here. Order from us. So there are those opportunities now when it comes to being an influencer. If you can't go somewhere or do something, people are sending packages and experiences at home.
I got you. Well, yeah, because like you say, they got to get creative. Do you think that it's harder to kind of get the like the prices that you might want for your business because these business owners it's like they're kind of in a precarious situation, right? It's like their margins are getting squeezed on the back end profit side, right? But they also are in need of your services because of because of the like constant moving target and the changes going on. So
Yeah.
do you
I've
find
negotiated.
I'm
Yeah.
say
I've negotiated with each client, like what works with them within a budget during these trying times. And we've been reevaluating retainers every 3 months. But,
is that how you set it up, or is that
yeah.
did they come to you and say something, or were you proactive about it and was like, hey, you know?
I think they mostly came to me. Like one of them was pausing. The other one was like, hey, is there anything we could do? And I said, absolutely. How's this number? And they were like, we appreciate it. Um, Another one, yeah, same thing. Like everybody's operating at like reduced retainers right now. So
Right, yeah.
we are going to be really evaluating in January when the new year comes. And but I onboarded somebody new at an affordable rate as well, because I want to bring on new clients. I want to help more people. So it has to be the right person, though. The one thing I learned during quarantine is like looking at my 4 clients, how they all kind of check very similar boxes, and who to go after and who to target now. So yeah.
Right. It's even kind of forced you to kind of take a stand back and look at your business and get creative with your own business and kind
I
of
make
ask
more
those
money with
questions that we've all been asking. Huh?
I make more money with photography, but obviously photo shoots, I used to shoot a lot of events, not doing that, not a
Yeah.
lot of big events. So I had deposits for events in the spring and summer that you know, I was very lucky. Nobody asked for their money back, but they said, hey, when this event comes around, you know, is the deposit still good? And I said, yes, indefinitely, it's fine. Like, we don't know what's going to happen.
Right,
So
that's fair.
yeah, so they didn't ask for money back, but those first couple months it was like no photography, and that was a big hit, but
Right.
it definitely picked back up recently. Like October was one of my best months so far. So
That's great.
November and December are going to be quiet, but it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the ebb and flow, right? It's just
Yeah.
kind of how it goes. So with all of that being said, you know, that's you know, you kind of gave us a lot of game on not only your personal brand, but also, you know, working with different businesses and, you know, kind of how to maneuver through what's going on right now currently. So right now, you know, one of the things that you always hear is that, you know, you always hear about kind of like oversaturation. And I mean, I believe that every kind of social media platform is oversaturated to a degree. I believe that, but I also don't believe it, because I believe that you can always find your audience. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need everybody, you just need your crowd, right?
Yeah.
And so what's advice that you would give on how to stand out, you know, on social media? Like, you know, whatever platform, let's focus on Instagram, because that's a popular one, at least as far as the influencer you know, is concerned. And that's the one I use all the time anyway. I don't really use anything else. But how does one go about standing out?
So, I mean, it's kind of corny, but it's just like really being yourself and, you know, putting that out there. I think if some people try to be fake, that it's kind of obvious. So your biggest differentiator is you. There's nobody else out there that's like you. Don't try to be like somebody else. Don't just try to copy an influencer that you see. We see a lot of that. We see a lot of girls who are trying to copy certain looks with, you know, someone's filter, or, you know, piggybacking off of a partnership somebody saw someone do. Just there's plenty of brands out there that you can find to work with. There's a filter out there for you. But a really great tool, I think we're going to talk about a tool that can help differentiate your profile that I love to use, is Canva. So something with In Between Rivers, I've just been layering in some graphics. So I have a flow for my feed. I try to make it like a picture of me, something of food, you know, another photography photo. Every 7 squares is a quote that I designed. So, you know, just also taking the time to, if you want to make your influencer profile look more professional, adding in some custom graphics, updating your highlight covers. They have templates for that on Canva. So just giving yourself some covers and really thinking about what it is you're going to be talking about.
Okay, all right, I can dig that. Be yourself. And then also, you know, you mentioned a couple of tools, which is actually going to be my next question. So, you know, basically you're just saying, like, just be organic, you know, don't try to piggyback off it, because what works for you might not work for everybody else. And what works for somebody doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work for you, because, you know, that might not be your style, which I totally wholeheartedly agree with. So what are some of your favorite apps that you use for, you know, for building your social media and helping manage your clients' social media?
Okay. So Canva is a big one. That's for all graphics. It's everything from your Instagram highlight photos to quotes that you can post. They also have custom stories that you could create. So really pretty story templates. If you want to, you know, make your Instagram stories look a little bit more cohesive and branded, Canva is going to be the tool for you there. Scheduling, I love to schedule content with Buffer. It's one of the best tools out there. They also have a really great Analyze tool you can pay a little extra for. And that's a great way to look at your insights and kind of run reports for your clients. I'm not on the, heavy on the numbers analytics side, so it's a great tool for me, and it creates a beautiful like PDF that you can send to your clients. So if you're not a numbers person, it can kind of help you look like that. And then Animoto is a tool I like to use for video editing. You can upload like cell phone clips or high-res video clips, and they have templates and things like that with music and graphics that you can utilize and format for Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, those are some of my favorite tools. Professionally, I work in Adobe, Lightroom, Bridge, Photoshop.
Yeah, naturally, Adobe. But no, I always wondered about that because there's so many of them out there that, and with social media management is a lot of work. I mean, let's be honest, because to me, that's the one thing I kind of like about social media and I don't like about social media. I don't like that it's like a content abyss, it's like never ending. It's like a content monster, right? It's just, you always got to feed it. You always got to have something, and staying on top of it and staying ahead of it could be a lot of work.
Draining.
Yeah, exactly. The flip side is that because it is a content abyss, for those who know how to create content, it's an ever pumping source of work because you always got to be creating content. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? So with all of that being said, one of the last questions I'm going to ask you here is, what do you expect, if you had to make a prediction right now, or kind of just forecast like what's going out like into the future, like for the next, like over the next coming year? I know it's kind of hard to say right now with everything that's going on, but as far as
influencer marketing
and kind of social media marketing for businesses, what do you kind of think is coming down the road?
It's definitely not going anywhere. And as far as influencer partnerships, they're one of the most heavily invested in, and projected for brands to be investing in the next 5 years. So there is plenty of space for influencers out there. And there's a lot of brands that are looking to partner. Some of them already have, ambassador programs built into their website that you can apply to. So it's definitely, influencer marketing is definitely going anywhere. And I don't think Facebook and Instagram are going anywhere. I don't know about TikTok. Did someone buy it yet? I thought someone in the US was supposed to buy it.
Yeah, I think like Microsoft was supposed to buy it so they could stay in the US or whatever.
Yeah. But like I said, with being an influencer, I think you just want to talk about the things that you already love in your life. And, I would love to be an influencer for Bar Method. They're the place I work out 5 days a week at home virtually. So, like, where do you love to work out? Where do you love to eat? How can you form a relationship with them? How can you help promote them? And what do your followers care about? You can also take polls on your stories to kind of feel out what people really want to see from you. And I know a lot of influencers that have pivoted. They start here, they're talking lifestyle, now they're here. So it also takes some time to feel it out and see what you like posting and what your audience reacts to. But yeah, as far as influencer marketing, social media marketing, I don't think it's going anywhere. And
what's some of the hottest platforms that you think? Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Yeah,
TikTok is huge. I personally don't have a TikTok. None of my restaurants are on TikTok. from a brand perspective, but from an influencer perspective, some people have more of a following on TikTok than they do on Instagram. I've
Is
heard
it
that
easier,
it's
you
a
think?
lot easier to grow
Right.
because I think people are digesting videos so much more quickly too.
Right.
Like, I don't know what it is, but like I don't really use the app, but when my brother uses it, he's like scrolling like this. Like,
Like nonstop.
yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, because I feel like some platforms are probably a little bit easier. I'm thinking of it as it like from like a business perspective, but I could definitely see what you're saying from like a personal influencer perspective, like TikTok being, kind of a
Yeah.
bigger, like easier way to grow as opposed to like kind of growing a.
Business wise, I think it just depends on your business. Like, you should definitely be active
Right.
on LinkedIn, and if you have an agency, and be sharing things about your clients on LinkedIn too.
Are you active on LinkedIn?
I am. I try. I'm not as active as I am on Facebook and Instagram, but I do try to. I hate the interface of LinkedIn, but I share personally and I share on IBR.
Okay. All right. How do you, now you get me, I'll ask you this last question, because LinkedIn's one of those, like, what do you feel like, how's the engagement, do you feel like, for you on LinkedIn? And
Lacking. It's hard.
yeah.
So what I've learned, I've seen people's successful posts in LinkedIn, and I ask them, like, how are you getting great engagement? Like, oh, well, I share it with my networking group, and I ask them to go like it, and I ask them to comment on it. So after you make a post, send an email with a link to your post and ask your network to engage with it. So it's ridiculous. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard and it's time consuming. So
Yeah. LinkedIn's one of those ones where it's like, I feel like on every social media platform I should be more active than I am, but
you're very mysterious on your social media.
you think so?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. I should be more active. That's what I'm saying. Like, when I look at like what you got going on, I look at your work, I'm like, man, like, you're doing the thing out there, but I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm sometimes still kind of like stubborn old man, it's like, oh, this kid's with the technology, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like that, but like, I love all technology, but I don't know,
It's hard to post about yourself, and it's definitely a hurdle, I think. And I mean, that's why I like to help people do it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Need to work with you. So, all right. Well, thank you. So, if anybody wants to, check out your work, your business, they want to follow you, learn more about what you got going on, where can they find you?
Instagram, Briana, Briana, with 2 underscores, Louise, Louise. That's me. My company is In Between Rivers, and we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Yep.
All the places.
All the places you can find me.
All right.
Definitely follow me on Briana Louise, and connect with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I'm Briana Louise Farina.
Well, you gotta be professional on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's a little stuffy. So, all right. Well, thanks for taking out the time and enjoying it and giving us some game and hopefully giving us some tools for success.
Dropping some knowledge.
That's what it is.
If anyone has questions after they watch this, they can message me on Instagram or something.
All right. Well, that sounds good.
Awesome. Well, thanks, John.
All right. Well, thank you.